It's another lovely morning here in Studio S.
Isn't it lovely?
It's lovely. And Nigel and I did have a midnight chat that we recorded. However, I don't know. It might go in those lost recordings. The midnight chats might not ever happen because we both get very heated. And it's, but I think that's what makes it great. Nigel brought up something very interesting, whether, how people are use their position depending on how cognizant of it or not. Some of us come into this world and we are these individuals who think they're just going about their day, going about their lives, and they're not awake to what is actually happening in the experience of coming into the world and being human, thinking that this is just something that we fall into, and that we actually have no choice. I disagree because of certain personal experiences and the other experiences that I've witnessed other people go through. And I am of the camp that we have a say in what we're here to do. Sometimes that is something that we actually are actively doing, or sometimes it is something that we chose before we came into this life to actually demonstrate for other people. But what all this comes down to is that certain souls feel like they have a mission and a purpose, and sometimes that mission and purpose is to question the boundaries, question the machine. Nigel was just commenting on how we do that matters, how we decide to carry out that mission. And one of his statements was that he will never, ever, ever stop questioning. He will never, ever, ever stop having people take a look at what is happening around them. Personally, part of how I think that Nigel does this is by the exact words that you just say. I'm going to quote you: through the power of podcasting, by bearing witness, and the power that we each have by not just sitting and ruminating, but by being active as you are, sending out those questions, setting issues that you and I talk about all the time, but it's not enough to just talk about it. It's not enough to just argue about it. It's not enough unless you're willing to take a microphone, or you're willing to take pen in hand or hit your keyboard. So I think it's very interesting. And I have to ask you now, I'm putting you on the spot. Is this your main focus when it comes to some of the things that we were talking about last night? We are there to push the envelope.
Is it my main purpose? I would say, just to give it some context. I mean, we've kind of taken it to a little bit of a more spiritual place, but that's okay. No, it's relevant. I've always seen my life as questioning. It's like, why is this the way it is? Why is it like this? Mm-hmm. Why are people so mean to it? Why is this nasty crap happening? Why isn't there just love on it? Where's the love, And I see it. And you're right. Yeah. Okay. So we've got spirits, souls coming to this place, planet Earth, to have whatever it is that they're going to experience, whether you, not everyone believes as you believe that they scripted this. They said, okay, my mission is this, and this is what I'm going to be here to do. And I guess it comes down to injustice. Now that's a big abstract word. It means a lot of different things to a lot of people, of course. Depending on where you're standing, you might, what's an injustice to me might not be an injustice to you.
But do you believe that podcasting is a form of activism?
Certainly it can be. Sure, certainly it can be. We can't see. This is what I get. What I get frustrated about is that we can't change anything, and this gets a little touchy because some people, not everyone agrees with me that things need to be changed at all, and certainly if you're someone in power in the United States or anywhere else in the world, you don't want things to change. You want things that continue just as the way they are because you are the beneficiary of all this power, and with that comes whatever. I say, okay, there's power in the world, and it just is. Like, people want all the power, but none of the responsibility, the way I see it. You may disagree with me, that's fair. So I left the U.S., and I had no intention of coming back. I really didn't. I said, I'm leaving for good, because I'd seen so many things that just, it reminds me of that quote that everyone loves to say, and I can't stand this quote. It's like, give me the serenity to change the...
Cannot change.
Yeah.
And the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Right. So, but I always took it to me, what about things you can't change and cannot accept. Like, that they're not mutually exclusive. Right? It's just like, and so I just felt like the way I'm going to deal with it is non-participation in this system, because it is an economic system among many other things. And one of the ways you can protest, I guess, for withdraw that, I'm going to take my little piece of that out, and I'm not going to participate, because I don't have to deal with some of these things on a day-to-day basis. I don't have to deal with certain types of discrimination. That's not to say that when I see that, I just look at the injustice of it. If we can't at least face whatever it is, some powerful institution, some prevailing belief, some prevailing ideology, some injustice, that if we can't face these things, if we can't look at them, if we can't understand them, if we can't criticize them, and this is what I mentioned earlier, any kind of criticism whatsoever tends to be just taken as so much negativity, and a lot of the way it is delivered gets more weight than what I'm actually talking about. What is it that I'm actually addressing? What I want to bring attention to. A lot of it gets taken as you're just negative. Oh, they're just yelling and screaming, complaining. Oh, or you didn't, or it's the tone. I hear that a lot. It's the tone. For me, it's exhausting. I know it's coming from different places for different reasons, and it's not all necessarily motivated by the same thing. It's just frustrating for me to see that if we can't just at least look at some of the things that we're faced with as a society and talk about them. Always seen it as my duty to take my privilege and say, hey, wait a minute. Even though I'm not really as directly affected by some of these things, I am in some cases, but discrimination, racism, sexism, you name it. It eats at me. I see the way people are treated. I see the imbalance of power, the inequality. People say, oh, well, if everyone is equal, you don't want to. No, I'm not saying everyone is always going to be equal, but I think there ought to be like a basic humanity that we share here. And when I don't see that, it just eats at me. Okay, podcasting is just, you said, is it activism? Well, yeah, absolutely, it can be.
So do you think podcasting is enough?
Well,
or
no.
should there be more participation?
No, it's just, absolutely, yeah, absolutely. It has to start with awareness before anything else can happen. And so that's what this is about.
We're going to go get our nosh on. And I'm sure you'll be hearing from us again. Have a great day, everyone.
Morning Musings with Nigel and Natty. Nigel.
Okay, get it together,
Yeah.
Nigel.
Okay.
He hasn't had his coffee.
I'm still a little.
Yet.
Okay.
Go
We
get
need
your
to
coffee.
change this. Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Javi Media.